Christian Mosquera is proving to be one of Arsenal's best pieces of business this summer. To get him for just only £13 million is proving to be quite the robbery. In today's video, we will be delving into the Spanish defender and showcasing why he probably is one of the best defenders in the world right now. But before I begin, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe and the like as well. But let's get on with the analysis. To understand how elite Christian Mosquera is, I've split this video up into three different parts. The first part will look at his front foot defending and his ability to dominate his opponent in 1v1 duels and dragging himself into uncomfortable situations because he just backs himself so much. We'll then look at his ability to pass centrally and vertically, the way he opens up those passing angles through his body weight and body position. Then we'll look at his ability to find passes into those wider areas, which is truly elite, whether that is those longer balls or those shorter balls into the feet of those wide players or those fullbacks. But we'll start here, and this is Virgil van Dijk, this is Anfield, and we'll talk about his front foot defending, because in this situation Van Dijk's only intention is pretty obvious, is to play the ball into this sort of central area, into here. Van Dijk wants to play the ball in there, and it's really interesting how aggressive Christian Mosquera is as we sort of advance this. Look at how on the front foot he is on Ekitike. He vacates the space behind him, as that daggered arrow sort of shows, because he backs himself to win those duels. And having a defender willing to back himself up against such an elite centre forward that Ekitike is so encouraging. And don't you forget, Ekitike was in phenomenal form going into this game, so confident. But Mosquera said, I'm going to dominate you physically. And that's what the true elite centre halves do. In the end, he does win that duel. We do win possession and we are able to play forward. So that simple act of Mosquera vacating his position next to Gabriel, attacking the duel, won us the ball and allowed us to go on the front foot. And that's what elite defenders do. They really back themselves in physical duels and physical battles. We'll now move on to sort of the next example of Christian Mosquera being really aggressive and really good. Just out of the frame here, Van Dijk is receiving it. We know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and play a ball forward into the centre space. There's the ball. And look how Mosquera deals with it. I think it is truly elite. So here he is, Mosquera, right on the back of Ekitike once again. And it's that idea of him vacating the space behind him. He backs himself so much. He wants to be involved in those physical duels. He wants to be dragged into uncomfortable scenarios or situations because he thinks, he knows, he feels he'll come out on top. And in this instance, he does really well, because he does end up giving us sort of a position in which we can get numbers back, or we can push the ball backwards so we can get into a better resting defensive position. But it's these small things, backing yourself in the duels, which are going to go a long way to showing why Mosquera is truly elite. Here is another example. We see the ball going up again to Hugo Ekitike. Mosquera straight away. I think this is really good from him. He sort of backed off and then he decided, okay, once you've got this ball under control, I'm going to sneak and try and win it. See, that's intelligence right there. To know your opponent, he's really skillful. He has the ability to turn me, so I'm just going to drop back. He thinks that I'm going to pressure him, but I'll drop back. Then I'll know when to go into that area and when to make it uncomfortable and attack him. And this is what he does. He wins that ball back. There is the ball. And Arsenal were able to go onto the front foot. And that is truly elite front-footed defending from Mosquera against one of the best young strikers in the world. We must not forget that. In this scenario, again, this one was really good against Nottingham Forest. A ball going in to the channel, and I think Mosquera is one of the best wide centre halves in world football, in the sense that he's able to really deal with those channel balls very well, Rudiger-esque. And in this scenario, you're going to find he's up against Callum Hudson-Odoi, and we know how good Callum Hudson-Odoi is in dealing with the ball in those wide areas. But you can already see Mosquera is waiting, that ability to just wait and see how the opponent deals with the ball initially, because that's how good defenders defend. If Hudson-Odoi controls this and goes on the front foot, Mosquera can move backwards. If he miscontrols it, it's his time to be aggressive, and it's that controlled aggressiveness which makes elite defenders elite. And in the end, he goes into Hudson-Odoi, wins that ball and is able to advance us forward. Really is elite. That first initial scan of the situation, you kind of thinking to yourself, as a defender, can I be aggressive? Can I get into this area like this here? Look, as soon as he feels Hudson-Odoi doesn't have control of that ball, he's there. He's there, he's ready, and he wants to make it uncomfortable. So from here, look at that. I'm waiting, just like the Ekatike one I showed you. And then bang, he goes in there and he wins us that ball. Elite. It truly is elite stuff from Christian Mosquera. Here again is another example, and it's him dealing with the ball into those central areas. And look how aggressive on the front foot he's about to be from Sangare. Sangare plays it across, and we'll have a look. There is Mosquera. Look at him on the front foot. Such a shame I can't show you guys clipped because obviously of copyright. But look at how aggressive he is. So going forward into that duel, he's already seen the ball is coming at pace and he wants to make it uncomfortable for the Forest player. And that's exactly what he did. And that's what makes these elite players elite. And I'll say this a lot today because I'm trying to really hone in on the point that Mosquera is elite and is reading and understanding the game, and when to go into a duel, when to just sit back. It's really, really good and really, really intelligent. And of course, in the end, as you can see, he wins that duel. Arsenal are able to retain possession and we can go and play from Zubimendi from here. It's those small details which are really, really good. And look, I'm showing you examples across many games. Look at this one, particularly one of my favorite ones in terms of Mosquera, in terms of his reading of the game. Here he is, he's following the Atletico Bilbao player, and again I apologize for how clear this image is, but there is the ball, and just look at how Mosquera follows him all the way in. I've talked about it before. Elite players back themselves. They back themselves to go all the way and win a duel. He's come out from the centre half position. He trusts Timber will drop into his area. He can cover the wide channels and he can win that ball. And in the end, look at him there. That's exactly what he does. He wins that ball for Arsenal and we're able to then reset. It goes out for a throw-in. It's elite. It truly, truly is elite. From this scenario all the way back here, Mosquera manages to win us a throw-in. Not win us a throw-in, sorry. Manages to push Atletico Bilbao all the way backwards. From such a dangerous position like this, Atletico Bilbao are here and we're able to get into our really good defensive shape. Elite. It truly is. His dueling capabilities is so good. Now we'll get on to his vertical passing. I think this is now, you know, all defenders can probably do to a decent level what Mosquera did and what I was showing you in terms of physical on the front foot defending. Look, when you're at the elite level, most clubs will have players able to do that. But what sets Mosquera apart is his ability to create passing angles and to create opportunities for himself to be progressive. So in this scenario, here is Mosquera receiving a pass. And how he deals with this situation and progresses it is very, very elite. So here he is again on the ball here. And it's pretty obvious. The way that he has been pressed in the sense that Atletico Bilbao, it is really good from Atletico Bilbao. Really difficult. They're blocking all access to central areas. And you, probably like me, are probably thinking, Mosquera, just play it here across goal to Gabriel. Gabriel, you can then play it into Eze. We got to bear in mind, he's right-footed. And in this scenario, that ball is on his right foot. So it's going to be harder for him to play centrally on his stronger foot. But this is what sets him to be such an elite player. Because what he does is he opens up a passing angle for himself. He recognizes and kind of does a pause. And what we call it is pauser when the Atletico Bilbao player tries to press him. And look, not many players would do this, by the way. Not many players would back their left foot and play the ball into Declan Rice to collect. That's exactly what he did, though. So from this situation, when we as fans are looking at it, we're kind of like, there's no ball on here, essentially. Just play it out here to someone like Gabriel to then advance it and to then play it towards Eze on the left wing. So here we go. Let me advance it. There we are. He plays it centrally so that, you know, Declan Rice can run and be progressive. It really, really is elite stuff from Mosquera. Here is Declan Rice in possession. He had quite a tricky first half against Bilbao, did Declan Rice. Another day he's able to run with that a bit further up the pitch, but that first touch moved him backwards. But the intention from Mosquera, absolutely elite. I'm telling you right now, guys, the way this kid thinks is really good. Here is another scenario. And what Mosquera does a lot is that ability to pause on the ball. to scan his surroundings, to not be pressured, to make the decision on his own timing, because he knows avenues will open up. Like in this situation, it was such a hard press from Bilbao. You know, that mid-block and press across their front line was truly elite. All access towards our forward line was really blocked. It genuinely was. So in this situation, you need your defenders to be brave. And if I tell you that Mosquera's intention from here was to sort of find a ball into Marino, you guys would be shocked. But this is an elite young defender we're talking about. That ball does find its way to Marino in the end. Look, Marino's now moved a little bit, and Mosquera, that's a good defender, reacting to little movements, reacting to split-second opportunities. So from here, where we see, you know, how impressed Bilbao are, Mosquera reacts to the movement of Marino and is able to play that ball straight into there. And look at that. We're able to be progressive. And if Marino turns better and he isn't fouled, we're then progressive. So from that high press, that mid-block press, that structure of Bilbao, Arsenal were able to progress and go forward because of Christian Mosquera's elite timing and pauser on the ball. We'll now move on to another example. And obviously, unfortunately, he's out the frame here. But one thing about Christian Mosquera is he's not afraid to play vertically and hard into certain teammates. He genuinely wants to be as forceful as possible. And this idea of Arsenal not playing quick enough is so wrong, because we're already seeing so many examples of Mosquera taking the initiative to play forward, to be aggressive. And every single one of his passes, if you haven't noticed, they send a message. So the one into Declan Rice sent a message for him to receive and carry. The one in to Marino, which I just showed you, told Marino to receive, turn and drive. These are very intentional passes, and those elite centre-halves are always trying to do those intentional passes. And obviously in this scenario, the ball goes up into the feet of Gyökeres and he's able to play it out wide to Madueke, and Arsenal can be in a front foot position. So it's aggressive, it's brave, it's backing yourself, it's knowing your capabilities. Mosquera wants to play those passes, and you can see how pressed in he is. As a manager, you're almost shocked that your centre half wants to play a ball like that, especially with how pressed in he is here. But Mosquera's brave, he wants to do it. It goes up into Gyökeres. Gyökeres deals with it pretty well, and Arsenal are able to sort of go into a more attacking position, and that is truly elite from Mosquera. Here, now we shall move on to Mosquera understanding the space. How many times have I said, you know, the slight body weight change in terms of playing on his left foot, changing the angles. Here it's his understanding of the space to be progressive. You know, the football is changing. You need a lot more attacking centre-halves to recognise chances to be progressive. And to be fair to Calafiori, his throw-in, his body language is forcing Mosquera to make that move. But many defenders would feel like that's not my zone, that's not my area, but not Mosquera. That's what makes him elite. He wants to be the guy to influence. Here he is. He'll then play a lovely ball into the feet of Gyökeres, and Gyökeres can play it, not Gyökeres, I think that's Ødegaard, can play it out to Timber. So from a scenario such as this, where the throw-in is in the hands of Calafiori, Arsenal are able to progress and go forward because Mosquera understands, there's the ball, that it is his moment to try and move that ball forward to attack the space and get us on the front foot. Small elite movements like that make Mosquera as good as he is. We'll now move on to another example here of Mosquera and his ability to play vertically. And as you can see, the Forest press, I wouldn't say it's elite, but it's one which can make a defender who doesn't back themselves not want to play in the middle of the pitch. But Mosquera isn't one of those defenders you can just bully into not playing into the middle of the pitch if he doesn't believe he can't do it. The easy pass, many of us will say, just play it into the feet of Timber. That's not what Mosquera does. He ends up playing it centrally, vertically, into the feet of Ødegaard, and that's truly elite. We saw how Forest pressed us in, but the intentions of Mosquera is to be as progressive and as forward as possible. That ball is the one he wants to play because it gets us on the front foot. And this is why he had one of the most progressive stats for Valencia last season, because he's brave. Being brave is going to get you so far in today's game. Here is another example of sort of Mosquera being very brave. And there were so many situations, especially against Forest, where the crowd were shouting, barking, because Mosquera wasn't playing it quick enough. But a sign of an elite player, elite defender, is to play on your own timing, on your own schedule, and trust routes will open up for you to play an expansive pass. And that's exactly what happens in this situation. We can see we've been pressed pretty high. Mosquera then takes a lovely touch, like I said, with his body weight, body shape, the way he changes it to be forward. Look at the angles it's opened up, the options it's opened up there. It's opened up a ball into there, maybe a more difficult one into the feet of Zubimendi. But a simple change in body shape and body language has already opened up some angles for him to pass, because that is all his own doing. The players haven't moved that much in a sense in terms of the options in front of him, but he has baited the press, and it truly is elite, because in the end it opens up a lovely pass into the feet of Ethan Nwaneri, and then it's up to Ethan now to then create, to go forward and be dynamic as possible. There we go. And that's just elite, isn't it? I mean, from a situation such as this, your defender is able to find a pass and wait for the chance for your midfielder to be free up like this. It truly is really phenomenal stuff from Mosquera. This one is also one of my favourites because, again, you can see Forest are being really aggressive. And I've said this many times before, the easy pass for most defenders would probably be back to your goalkeeper and play long because of that three-man press of Forest. But like I said, this is an elite young defender in Christian Mosquera. He waits, pauser, understanding. Nwaneri comes into the space, and look, again, the pass sends a message to Nwaneri to play it first time out wide. Every pass that Mosquera does, see, it's on his right foot, is with intention for the receiver to go forward and be progressive. That is really the most interesting thing I've taken from rewatching Mosquera. Every pass has the sort of intention for the receiver to be as progressive as possible. And progressive he was indeed here. Timber to get us forward and up the pitch. Really loved that from him. And of course, here is another example. Again, one of the elite situations. Because, I mean, you're thinking here, if there's this many Forest players on the left-hand side, surely the ball that you as a defender should be playing is a cross goal to Gabriel, who will be there, or to your goalkeeper. But like I said, Mosquera, pauser, understanding. He knows that the opportunity for a pass will come. And look, he baits the press into him. And then look at this elite pass he's about to play. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous what he does in the end. This ball goes straight through the middle of the pitch for Declan Rice to receive here. And it's such a shame he's out of frame here. But that is what he does. He takes, how many Forest players is that? Let's have a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on this side, out of the game through simple patience on the ball and trusting your own abilities to play through the middle of the pitch. Now, I guess we'll sort of move on to Mosquera's ability to be progressive in those wider areas. But here, a different way of Mosquera progressing the ball is just small carries. And this actually was his first action against Liverpool, his first game for Arsenal in the Premier League. This is what he does. Just look at this. I mean, it's truly elite what we're about to see from him. He picks up that ball and he drives into the traffic because he believes in himself. He wants to play that ball vertical and central because it gets us on the front foot as quickly as possible. You know, this sort of quality, we didn't even see this from Gabriel when he first came in. There's confidence to play through the middle. There's confidence to be as progressive as possible. Even Saliba at times hasn't shown this ability to be as progressive through the middle of the pitch as Mosquera is showing. And in the end, this ball does go into this area. And look, it's a lovely weighted pass. I think in the end, Zubimendi's speed ruined it for him and he couldn't get quite forward. But in the end, that pass is truly elite. It genuinely is. Now I'll move on to another example. And again, that ability, that sort of confidence to play through the middle of the pitch towards your midfielders. That ball goes into Declan Rice. Mosquera believes in himself. He believes in that pass. And Arsenal are able to be on the front foot. Look at that. The pass is sending a message. Look, Declan Rice hasn't even touched that ball and he's already on the front foot. The weight of pass of Mosquera is so impressive. It's so elite. Genuinely is. Now, I think, is where we'll move on to those balls, to those wider areas. But in this scenario, here is Mosquera. And again, you can see the Forest intention. Be as aggressive as you can on the new boy. They're thinking, you know what, first home game, we're happy to sit in. Let's pressure him. Let's use him as a press trigger. But you can't do that to someone as light on the ball as Mosquera. He drives away from Gibbs-White, and the ball that he plays is elite into the feet of Madueke. But just look at this scenario. He's manufactured this himself. Obviously, Nwaneri and Zubimendi and Marino's movement were really good. But it's his patience, his understanding of when the movement happens to then play it forward into those wider areas. And in the end, there's Noni Madueke with the ball, able to get forward. Really, really elite stuff. And here, again, different type of ball. And we haven't seen this a lot from Mosquera actually, but his ability to play longer. And we'll see this a lot more this season when he plays more games and the switch is more on. He has the confidence to do it. He genuinely does. In this scenario, it isn't happening. But I mean, look at that. He switches the angle. He's even baited me. That's how good Mosquera is. You almost feel like he's going to make a pass to someone else. I'm even happy to admit my mistake here, even though I collected these sort of images. You think he's going to make a certain pass, a simple pass, a ball over the top maybe through his initial body language and body shape, but he just shocks you, switches to his left foot, switches his body shape, and he fires one into Nwaneri here. And I now remember it. He collects it and he's able to move forward or play a ball into here. Every pass is with a message. Every change of angle in his body is a message. Players in front of him to move. It's as simple as that. It genuinely is as simple as that from somebody of the quality of Mosquera. Every single thing is with a purpose. And here is Mosquera now. This is the one where he does play the longer ball into Eberiche Yeze. And he's able to take it down here. So different type of passes. Mosquera is able to do it as we do slowly come to the end of this video. But again, the understanding of what's in front of him here, of Nwaneri moving into here. But look what Mosquera is about to do. It's elite. He's so comfortable playing wide, but he's also so comfortable playing vertically and centrally. In the end, this one does go out to Noni Madueke. Perfectly weighted pass with intention, with power, it's just got everything in it. Like, he's a coach's dream. You can just tell as he was growing up, he was coached so well. A typical Spanish defender in terms of how good he is on the ball. In this example, here he is, waiting, pauser, calm, collective, elite stuff here. And then it just only takes one change and he's ready. And I actually don't think he plays this ball into Zubimendi, if I remember this one correctly. He uses him as a shadow to essentially punch the ball into Nwaneri's feet. So not even in his feet, but moving it forward from Nwaneri to Gava to go forward. There we go. I mean, that's twice now I've been sort of baited in what Mosquera is doing. And that's actually a good point in this video, as this is the last example. Mosquera will play passes that you just don't expect him to do, which are better than what you see in front of you on the screen. That's what makes an elite defender. And I know he's only 21 years old, but you can't ignore small things like this. It truly is elite. But anyway, hope you have enjoyed, and until next time, peace.